Collectibles conversation. Today we are doing the Cleveland Sports Collector Edition with someone from a hometown, a good friend of mine. His name is Mike. He has been a longtime collector ever since I've known him, probably the first and biggest collector that I had the opportunity to get to know. And I have known Mike for well over 10 years, 10 to 20 years, and just a really good guy. He has a huge collection in his basement, but he is one of the first people that I actually met that like would go to games, get balls signed, jerseys signed, and different things of that nature. So today we're going to talk to him, get to know about him, his collecting journey. I know he's a huge physical collector. So again, we want to have both physical and digital collectors on stream to kind of talk through that. And then we'll kind of get his thoughts around digital collecting as well, and just kind of get to know him as a person. Currently, right now, he's having just a little bit of technical issue just logging in, but once he gets into the waiting room, we will bring him right on in and just kind of get a chance to know him. So while we're waiting on him, just to let you guys know, next week on Thursday, we will have a different segment. Unfortunately, for our guest host or guest person is coming in. His name was Slider. We had to reschedule that one, so we will be doing another segment. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mike in, and let's get to chatting with Mike about Cleveland and collectibles. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, man? So you finally got this thing figured out.
You know how
Yeah,
technology is. You know, it's
yeah,
all
yeah. I'm over here like, okay, I'm waiting to hear back. I'm like, what's going on?
So how's your day going, brother?
Oh, not bad. Once I'm just running around, took my daughter to a reptile show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, reptile, huh?
And then the
Oh,
funny
you're
thing is,
better than
they
me,
got
brother.
a little flea market right next door. So then I go run to the flea market and I find this little cool little
Huh?
baseball. Great
Oh, of
wood.
course you did.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Something new to add to the collection. These are things that you find around that you
Oh,
can add.
fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Well,
What
Mike,
about you,
one
though?
thing that you know what I'm doing good. Today, I didn't even text you because I was like, I'm gonna tell you on a stream. So my daughter had her baby today.
Oh,
So
congrats.
yeah,
Congrats.
thank you, thank you. So yeah, so number four came today, 7 pounds, 7 ounces. So we went up there earlier today and got a chance to hold her in that. So
Mhm.
just continuing to add to the clan. You know how that goes. So
Right, right, right.
uh,
Well, congrats.
but but thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming on the stream. I know this is something that you did for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, something new. I've never, guess so. Try it out.
But I was kind of telling everyone before you joined just a little bit about you, because for me you're the first real collector that I met, because I know that you have tons of collectibles and over the or collector items, and over the years we've talked about it, you and your jerseys and baseballs and footballs and things of
Right,
that
right.
nature. So, if you wouldn't mind, for those who don't know you, can you share a little bit of information just about yourself and kind of how you got into collecting?
All right. Well, I started off for about like when I was about 11 years old. My grandmother took me to an Indians game, and when she took me, she was like, hey, after the game, you're able to go, meet some of these players or whatever the case may be. And back in the day, it was a lot easier compared to what it is now. So she took me down and got me to meet some players and got some autographs. And then I'm like, okay, this kind of cool. And ever since it just got a little crazy. But other than that, it's a nice, fun hobby. Something I enjoy doing, something to get away and just it's like being out fishing, waiting to catch something. At times like
Yeah,
that. So you just at times you might not get a player to sign anything, and then there's times that you'll walk out with a certain amount or whatever. This depends who you might get, but it's always been a fun
yeah.
hobby.
Okay. Now, when it comes to collecting, are you like, what do you specifically collect in regards to sports memorabilia?
Honestly, anything that was, that catches my eye, such as in baseball. This
Mm.
baseball was something cool that I figured I can be able to do something with, maybe having someb. Sign it, you know.
Okay.
So things like that, and or I'll buy jerseys here and there. Like I said, a flea market is actually a good spot to be able to find things such as this, and that then you can be able to get something cool that's get signed on, such as if I can show you. I got this bobblehead that I had found over here. I don't know if you can see him, but
See
I had
him.
found that bobblehead at the flea market, and then I had took it and I had Joe Thomas sign it. And the
Oh,
funny thing
wow.
is,
Okay.
so when Joe Thomas seen it, right away he was like a kid because there's buttons on it that you can press and then you start talking and stuff. So I made
Uh,
sure I put batteries in it just because I knew that how some people they want to be able to hit those buttons, and I figured I'd get a good kick with him. So he's always hitting the buttons or whatever, and trying to figure out how old school. And then all of a sudden he signed it for me. But it was things like that that catch some of the players' eyes that I think is kind of cool. So, but
okay.
yeah.
Fair enough. So I'm going to ask you a two-part question. So for you, what is your most valuable collectible that you have or item that you have? But then also, what's one that has more of a sentimental value that's important to you as well, and why?
Okay. Um, Probably the most expensive thing I would probably say is my Ichiro. I got a couple Ichiro but signed baseballs.
Okay.
Um, but the most, yeah, I'd probably say Ichiro. But then I got this jacket that I started off with. So basically, it's like one of a kind. I had started it off by just getting it to 455 because there's something Cleveland had did on sold out games. So then I
Nice.
had said, you know what, I got it signed, and then all of a sudden I just kept going with it. And before you know it, I got so many, I got the thing is full, and I just keep going with it. So that's something that I always value. That's something that's been cool. But my most precious though is when my grandmother and my grandfather actually started off me with me doing this. That's the most, by just showing me and basically them getting me into it. Meeting Sandy Alomar, Baerga, Albert Bell, then just the 90 players, and then just growing up at that age. So it was kind of cool, you know. So those pieces are the most important to me. I let everything else go in this room. I would sell anything. Those pieces right there, those pieces would not go anywhere. Those pieces would always stay with me. But anything else in this room, I wouldn't care. It can go. But those, no, those would stay to me. It doesn't matter.
I
Yeah,
hear
those pieces
that.
mean the most. Yeah, but other than that,
Okay.
no, everything else, it's fair game.
Now, obviously, I know that you've been collecting for a while. We kind of discussed before that obviously you took your daughter when she was younger, your oldest one, to do some of that stuff as well. What's probably the most memorable moment as far as like maybe going to a game and getting something signed with your daughters?
It's funny too, because we were just talking about that today with Ileana. I got a
Uh,
lot of fun moments, but this one in particular, Ileana was like 4 years old, and she liked to do autographing too. And then
mm,
it was after a game, and we were over there by the fence. So when a certain player came out, it was fine, but when a certain player came out, it was Lindor. So when Lindor came out, they basically this damn near squished my kid, and I'm over there like trying to, you know, hover over her so that they don't squish her. And she was talking about that today, and it's funny because he's seen it, and he basically said, "Stop! I'm not signing." He made everybody back up, and then he's seen it. He got her out the way and stuff, and he made sure he went and grabbed her. He picked her up, and took a picture with her and messed with her for a little bit. Mind you, like I said, she's like 3, 4 years old. So then also he's like, all right, signs whatever for us, and then also he goes back to entertaining the other fans. But that was something that was kind of one of the, funny moment with that one. But there's so many though, honestly. the players trying to throw balls at the kids and they're trying to catch them. It's like, geez. Here, let me just give it to you. You know, you can't catch right now, but things like that.
You know what, Mike? I know, a lot of the people don't know you like I do because I've known you for a long time at this point. But one thing that I want to shout out Mike for is he is such a phenomenal father. Ever since I've known him, he has been involved in his kids and, making sure that they do sports and whatever that they want to do. I hate to say this, Mike, they got you wrapped around their finger.
Oh, they do,
Whatever the
they
thing.
do. But you know what? That comes with part of being, wanting to be all in when you're a dad. That's important. So whether it
Yeah.
was, at first being at ballet practices and cheerleading practices, and it's like, hey, this is what you want to do. I'm all in. And then all of a sudden, one day, because I was still coaching at the time, and she just, you know what? I want to play softball. Like, you sure? Yeah, yeah. I don't want to play. I don't want to do ballet no more. Are you sure? They asked me that like 10 times. After she said she was sure, I went and bought her a glove, bat, or whatever else I needed to get her going on the team. I was like, come on, she's riding with me. So I ended up putting her on a 12-year team at 10 years old, and she held her own.
Phenomenal, phenomenal.
Her own.
Now,
So,
Mike, I'm not sure if I ever asked you this question before. Did you play sports when you were in school?
oh
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
yeah,
you
yeah,
did.
yeah. I played
Okay.
junior high. I played football, basketball. Don't get me wrong, I didn't get to play very much basketball at all. It's just more I was just watching or whatever. But uh, made the team. That was pretty much it. And I played football 2 years. And then when I went to high school, I only played baseball until I applied it in the outfield and messed up my shoulder 2 years in. And after that, it was just, just have fun with the game as much as way as you can. And whether it's helping other people out, it's just coaching with kids, which I started doing as soon as my kid said she wanted to play at the age of 5, and now she's 24. So, and I still do it. Coach boys baseball now. So I like to stay involved and just keep giving back any way I can because, for one, I love the game. And then I keep teaching as much as I can. And so I feel like, hey, I'm done. But other than that, I love doing it. So it's fun. Keeps me
You're
going.
such a you're such, Mike, you're just such a very community driven person, and you're always willing to give. I mean, you've always
Yeah.
been like that since I've known you.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Mike does not like to change jobs. Mike and I worked together for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He is always going to be one of those tenured employees, on
Yeah.
top of
Yeah. So
owning
you
his
know how
own
it is for me.
businesses.
I don't like that hopping around stuff unless you're gonna give me something really good to stay. But other than that, though, I'm I'm happy at times with things. So no messing up with the happiness at times. So I'm good.
I hear that. So, Mike, now obviously I know that you're a collector of all memorabilia in regards to Cleveland, but what's your favorite sport, and what kind of draws you to it?
Oh man, it's weird how you say that because it's weird because you have to break it down. And with me, like
Uh,
I love baseball, but I don't like watching baseball on TV as like just watching it. I want to be more involved in it. I want to be playing it more. You know what I mean? So it's
mm,
hard to watch it because it's a little bit slower. Baseball's a little bit when you're in the game, so watching is a little bit other than watching it during playoff series and stuff like that. It's more better to watch. Football and basketball, love to watch on TV.
okay.
Love to watch at TV. Hate to watch it at the stadiums.
Why you
That's
hate the stadiums, Mike? That's where like you get the like
it's just it.
full
Don't get me wrong.
embrace.
It's the atmosphere and everything is great, but
Uh-huh.
sometimes when you don't get those replays of what happened, and then
Yeah.
where everybody's saying, "What happened? What happened?" It just and then the screens don't show enough rewind for us to be able to see what's going on. So it's a little bit more different. And plus, the game goes so fast, so it's hard to be able to actually see what's going on. At least with TV, you slow it down. It's just like watching baseball, but it's too slow. So you have to
Yeah.
watch it over every game. You get what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah, yeah. So I would say baseball is my favorite. Um, Football then basketball. But those two can flop all the time, though. Those last two can
agree.
just it can go back and forth. Because then at the time, it's like when you're a Browns fan, 6 seasons and 6 games in, you're like, shit. I'm sorry. It's like you're ready to watch
Yep.
some baseball. I mean, you're ready to watch some basketball, and you're ready done with the Browns because they make you like, you know. Other than that, hey, see you next Sunday. But I'm a diehard fan. So I watch all my games, watch all my basketball games, watch all my baseball. Probably baseball not as much, like I said, but more football than basketball. For one, I'm
Okay.
inside because it's cold during the season.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you said that. I'm glad I'm not the only person. So, I've only been to like one actual football game in person. And my wife took me, shout out to my wife, Nicole. She took me as a gift. And I am with you, Mike. I went there, it was freezing cold. Everything was super expensive. I could barely hear anything. And I was like, yeah, now I would rather take that money, watch it on my big screen, eat some food and kind of go from there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, I'm
It's a
lying. I
good
went to
atmosphere.
it
But
is.
to me though, I've been to playoffs games for baseball.
Uh,
The atmosphere is great. I've been to, when the Cavs had their nice little run, been to them. I would actually love to be at a playoff game for the Browns. I would just love the atmosphere because it'd just be so much fun being at a meaningful game, not just hey you're in it. You know what I mean? We a meaningful playoff game, like something back like what it was before. But right now we're not there. We're not there. We're nowhere near close right now, besides our defense. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And you know what? I just told a story. I actually did go to one other football game, but I don't necessarily count this one because it was for work. And my boss who was the owner, he was like, "Hey, I got a ticket to the suite. You want to take you and your family?" So we went to the suite and watched a game. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't really remember the game as much as I do like eating good food and being in there having
Right.
fun, right? So I don't really necessarily count that, but it was a great experience, right? And I've been to a few WNBA games. Funny enough, I'm not a baseball fan, but I love going to baseball games because there's so much that goes on during that baseball game.
Yes, a lot going on. I love it. I love it.
Yes. So yeah, so obviously being here in Atlanta, every once in a while, my
Uh,
company will say, "Hey, we're gonna go to a Braves game, and we'll go down to the stadium." It's literally about 10 minutes away from corporate, so we'll go
okay,
down
okay.
there and everyone to go catch a game. So it's pretty nice. But yeah, so but other than that, Mike, so speaking of sports, I got to bring up, some topics in regards to sports. So are you a LeBron James fan, Mike?
Yes, I am. I am.
All
I am.
right, all right.
I
So
wouldn't
and
lie. I am.
he brought us what he said he was going to do, right? He brought us
I
one
mean,
home,
but some help, because man,
and
I
that
hate to
team
see
was
Kyrie
ridiculous.
leave, man. I hated to see Kyrie leave, man. But
Yeah,
I was happy for the championship. I was happy for the run. I would just wish it would have been more of a bigger run, you know.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just,
Now
I don't know. It just, you basically had the Jordan of basketball and being from Cleveland and like any other Cleveland person just want to get the hell out of Ohio. So that's what he did. Anybody that's from Ohio wants to get out of here. So I got it. I got it. But it's tough being a sports fan. Um, I'll tell you a funny story though. Because first of all, I mean, I do like LeBron, but I'm also Cleveland fans first, foremost.
I hear you.
I ride with them before I ride with any player. That's my team. So I can't keep wanting you to win the championship and it ain't for my team. You know what I mean? So
Uh,
anyway, I was so mad. I had this punching bag downstairs, right? It's a funny story, LeBron James. But I had this punching bag. And then when LeBron left, I had this fathead, nice big old fathead sticker of himself. It was just more like his head though. But it was his body, but it was just bigger of it, of his head part. So anyway, I was like looking at the bag, and I knew he was gone, and it was just like, you're mad already. So what you do is, so I put him on the punching bag, and I put tape all around him and stuff. I taped the hell out of it, and then I'll say just the motivation was just like, so it would be so funny. It would be so funny because I'd have at the time I'd have a lot of my friends come out and come hang out with me, and we'd be down there watching the games and stuff. So when everybody would come down here and they see the punching bag with LeBron James's big, his head on there, I'm talking about guys would come up, they start taking off their sweaters, their jackets, and just work. Like it would be so funny just because these guys would, again, I was upset too. I was like, you know what? Put my hands on you. Obviously we ain't gonna never do that, but it was to say as close as we can be able, as bad as we can be. But we actually have fun with it. I'm not gonna lie. I left it up there. Even when
Of
he
course you
came
did.
back, even when he came back, it was still up there, and it would just be like, still a sucker. But like I said, we just had a lot of fun with it. A lot of guys would just come down here and notice it in us, and it's like they'll take off their coat real smoothly and just pat, start hitting on them. This is for the fans. It just we just again, it was fun, but obviously he
Uh,
came back with the championship.
good
But
time.
that's part of being a fan. Now, I didn't burn no jerseys. I didn't do any
Yeah,
of that stupid stuff because I mean that's just, in my opinion, stupid. It's just
I hear you.
stupid. It's just
I hear you.
players are gonna leave, and you know I remember when Albert Bell, man. I mean, first of all, being a Cleveland fan, let's talk about that real quick. Especially a baseball fan. You know how many players we couldn't afford to pay, and it's still like that. And we groom them, get them ready, and we have them for so long, and they're gone. You know, and it was always been like one of those things. You watch Albert Bell. He left for money, and then and it just trickled down. It just started trickling down to, and I get it, get it. You give me $50 million, and you can only pay me 25. I mean, let's be real. It's another $25 million. So I doubt
Yeah,
if anybody's leaving $25 million on the table. So it
a
just
hundred
sucked,
percent.
though. That's what sucks is for us being a Cleveland fan, because that's something that's always been happening to us. Now, shout out to Jose Ramirez for even when you don't have to be loyal, because nobody's loyal to you to be able to have to be loyal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And for him to, regardless if Indians gave you opportunity, he didn't have to show no loyalty to them. He could have been just saying like his business, like any other of these players, and just how they get traded off. And so I get it. So, but for him to say, "Yeah, give me this, amount of money, and I'll stay with you guys," that's basically unheard of, and I applaud him. And sometimes when you look at millions, you can say I got 250 million, but if I can say I got 150 million, to me, what the hell's the difference? But if
I
you're
hear you.
spending $250 million on a house or something, then you're going to be broke. So obviously you didn't use your millions right. But
I hear that.
for the way he's thinking and the way he feels like, hey, $150 million, I don't know exactly what it is, but just that's unheard of, man, especially in this day and age. It's unheard.
Yeah,
So it's just hard to really, really believe, especially as a Cleveland fan, for him to say, "I want to stay here in the snow, stay here and live here, and be a part of something where he could have said, hey, you know what? I need to go somewhere bigger and better and get paid a lot more money." But he he
yeah.
he he stayed, and again, I applaud the hell out of him because players need to realize that that money thing is just getting ridiculous. You got 600 something $1 million. You got $400 million. I mean, what do you? It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I mean they're making Mikey Merle money,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mikey
No,
in money,
I know.
I
I'm
mean,
trying to.
just saying.
Yeah, I need to get that guy's kind of money. Shit, it's it's nice though. Don't get me wrong. It's nice for them to be able to get that, but at the same time, it messes up the game. It really messes up the game. If
No,
you
no,
can
and
keep paying, if you can just pay a stat team and keep having a stat team, there's no guarantee you can win it, but your odds are really, really good for you to win it. And I think
yeah,
baseball does need um some kind of payroll. It does
okay,
because it just has to balance it out, balance it, make it something worth fun to watch. It's not absolutely not often you're going to get the Kansas City Royals winning a World Series. Let's be real.
yeah, okay,
That's not going to keep happening. The Texas
yeah,
Rangers, they had a good team, but they didn't come back like other teams, probably like the other people. I thought they would have came back, but you know what I mean? It's just you get lucky at certain times. But when you get those kind of teams that are just spending $1 billion just to win the World Series, that's just stupid.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
stupid.
hear that. So, Mike, if you wouldn't mind, I know that you have tons of memorabilia down there. Are you able to give us a little bit of a tour of what you got, and let us take a sneak peek into the crazy collecting of Mike?
All right. As I learn how to turn this camera around. There's a button on there, isn't it? Oh, turned it off. All right, I guess I'll turn it this way.
Okay, fair enough.
Can you see?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, this is quite a few of my baseball bats that I ended up getting. Quite a few of them game used, and some of them need just meeting players. Now, the cool thing about all of my stuff is that none of this stuff that I have here is bought. I never went to a sports memorabilia store and bought any of this. It messes up the hobby of the fun. The fun of it is meeting players and being able to have that little quick conversation or whatever the case may be. But being able to meet them is a more funner thing. Like I actually met Robinson. He actually gave me these gloves. We had a little cool conversation one time at the training camp, and I had met him and Greg Robertson, and he actually we were talking, I said, "Hey man, you think you can hook me up with some gloves sometime?" And he's like, "Man, I got you." Came back out, gave me a set of his game used gloves.
Really?
Yeah, and then also same thing with Gilbert, even though he didn't last too much of his Cleveland Brown long. So, and
Okay.
then Kyrie. One thing I always liked about Kyrie,
Kyrie.
Kyrie was never one of those persons like he appreciated his fans, regardless of
Uh,
how I'm a superstar or whatever the case may be. He appreciated his fans, and he'd always stop and acknowledge us, and he would sign. And it goes for a lot of them. Like I said, everything down here is all me meeting these players and and getting the autograph.
Mike, I never knew that. I didn't realize you didn't buy any. I didn't realize all of this was coming from like actual meet and greets with the actual
Yeah,
players.
yeah, yeah. Like see, like right here, this is me, Mark Price, and Craig
Ooh,
Eagle. You know, they signed. Well, he signed this jersey for me. Took that to him. And then like Austin Carr, and then he signed this
wow.
jersey for me. Um, and then obviously Kyrie, J.J. Hickson, and then Kevin Love. I got that confetti when the confetti fell from us winning the championship. I was down there, and
Oh,
he
were
dropped
you
this
really?
confetti. Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm putting this confetti. I'm putting it with my memorabilia. So then I'm buying these little things like that and put them on my frames or whatever. So that's why you might see some of that stuff in there. And then some of my baseballs and bats.
Yeah.
And we got Gaylord Perry. And then this is cool too. This is Kyrie again too. He signed that bobblehead. He said, "Man, this is I don't know." He's talking to me, and he said, "Man, I've never signed one. This is gonna be a pain." And this is how he signs it. So I kind of feel like I got the first Kyrie Irving bobblehead signed when he first came to Cleveland. But
Shout out
yeah,
the
he was
first
talking.
appearance bobblehead signed Kyrie.
Yeah, I really feel
Irving.
like it did because for that conversation that he told me that, I was like, okay, find it as best as you can, and that's what he did for me. And the funny thing is that I had a second one, and I gave it to him, and he didn't sign it like that. He actually signed it on the bottom of the wood. So I got another one signed too.
Okay.
And then these pieces right here that I was telling that you said the most that I told you that mean the most to me
Uh-huh.
would be these pieces right here.
Okay.
Those would be the pieces that I started off with my grandmother and my grandfather. Going to this stadium and getting those autographs. So this is like my little section of, for her, that good moment, memory.
I hear that. I hear that.
Then I got mine, Kyrie, Kevin Love. This is Craig Eagle from that picture that I showed you over there. But there's just so much. And then I got basketballs down there. I'm not sure if you can see them, but there's a whole bunch down there.
No, Mike,
You know,
there
don't,
has to be a
you know,
point where you start running out of space, brother.
man, listen, I have so many more footballs that I can't put up because I ran out of room. I've run out of so much room. It's just been crazy. Like, oh, this is that Joe Thomas thing I told you I had. So that made a nice little thing. If this is all Joe Thomas right here, but that's that bobblehead that I told you he signed.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then nice little cleat. And then Ataba Rubin. Shout out to Ataba Rubin. He's always been one of the coolest one of the coolest Browns players. He gave me his cleat right there.
Oh,
There
really?
you go. Yeah, that big cleat right there.
Uh-huh.
Top of Ruben, he had gave me that cleat, which was kind of cool. And then also Albert Pujols. I'll never forget this too. Albert Pujols. We was trying to get his autograph. There was quite a few of us, and he went and signed an autograph for us, but he gave us these cards. He handed them out to us of his own personal cards. He signed them and he handed them out to us, which I thought was cool. And there's some kind of Christian card that has some kind of saying on them, on the back of it and stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. And
Uh-huh.
that's that Pacific card right there. And then you got Francisco Lindor. I saw signed by all Francisco Lindor. I can keep going on and on and on, man. Like even the Jim told me.
Oh, see, that's the era I remember. Yeah,
And then they
Kenny
did
Lofton, Jim Tomey. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Justin Masterson when how young my kids are. This is when we were going. And believe it or not, they got a nice little collection themselves.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, this is that's pretty much all that.
Now, Mike, does the wife complain you got so much stuff? I'm kind of curious because,
No, no, she
for
doesn't. She doesn't, but it's funny though because she says the same thing. Like you're running out of room. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to start putting things in the living room. And that's when she thinks I'm crazy. Man, Josh Gordon, one of the
uh,
coolest guys that you'll ever meet. It's just a shame that he couldn't get himself together. I remember
oh,
I'd go to the training camp, and he'd just keep just talking or whatever else, and then Austin, hey man, and then offering things. Like he was just cool. Like you need anything? It's Joe Thomas right here. But
Mike, have
yeah,
you ever thought about selling any of your stuff?
I actually have. I actually have. I got to a point where at some point I don't want to just keep piling up on this stuff. Man, I got so much stuff of this stuff. It's crazy, because there's times that I would go and my kids would be with me, and and there would be certain players that I knew, like, if I wanted to get a little bit extra, just because I don't sell it, but if I know I can be able to make some of my money back, I might try to get an extra two extra items signed so that I know I can be able to get a lot of my money, some of my money back. I'm not going to make it all
Okay.
back, but just for that reason, because when you start investing in this stuff, man, you're paying $100 for a jersey or more,
Yeah.
if you want to get a jersey signed. So there's sometimes I might get lucky, I might buy, I might get two of them signed, and there's sometimes I might not get one of them signed, you know what I mean? Or I'll
Okay.
get the one signed. It just sometimes I'm lucky enough that where I might get something enough to be able to get, so I can make some money back. So like Kyrie was one of those guys that I got lucky with. You know, he for some reason he was always to talk to you like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, yeah, I got a few items. You don't mind? Sure, I got you. And it wasn't like, hey, I just try to throw you. Just like sometimes you want to be a nice, you don't want to be disrespectful to him, like, because you know what it is at times too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't care. But you'll have players like, like LeBron. He's such a money maker that you're not going to just get a LeBron James autograph. You
Yeah.
can be right next to you. You can be tugging on his arm. Hey, he don't give a fuck if you're five. He's not signing for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just what it is. But so then you get players that are like Kyrie. Kyrie was just like, sure, I'll sign what you got. Like, oh, thank you, and he just sign it off for you. Okay, thank you. He'll roll out, no problem. But then you get those one players, you're only getting one. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, I never forget Albert Bell when I was younger. I had me and my buddy Marky Molina. I'm not sure if you know Marky Molina, but uh, this is back in the day at the old stadium. They only had like a parking guardrail to block you, from getting to the player. So when we were younger, Marky, we weren't thinking, we didn't care or whatever. But I don't even know what the hell to crap, but we just hopped right over the guardrail because it was easy to do. And before you know it, we're like, hey, hey, can you sign my ball? And he looks at us. He's like, how, how'd you guys get over here? Get back over there. It's like, oh, hey, that's when you're this way. You're like, oh shit, I'm getting yelled at by Albert Bell now. You know what I mean? You're like, oh crap. So, um, so he yells at us. So then all of a sudden we obviously hop back over the guardrail. But he's like, how'd you guys get over here? Like, because like it's a 6 foot fence, you know what I mean? So anyway, we hop back over, and he basically we have to wait in line now. I mean, it's not even a line; it's just a bunch of people, just rushing to try to get an autograph. Especially we're smaller, and people are all over us. So I figure we just try to. We're kids, we get away with it. Hell no, it didn't work. Chewed us out, went back over. Go, all right, no problem, bro. Sorry. Go back over. And then all of a sudden, it was like, you really, and then it gets to that point where you're like, you know what? We just got yelled at. We don't even want your autograph now. You just yelled at us. So we're just like off to the side. You know what I mean? He's like, hey, come here. I was like, oh, fuck, we're getting yelled at again. And this is the era when Albert Bell was already known for trying to run kids over for trick or treating or aching his house or something. You know what I mean? So at that time, we're like, holy crap. We're like, oh, man, we're going to get beat up by, you know. So we go over to him and he's like, you're not supposed to do that. And I said, man, we're getting yelled at again. Like I said, we knew it. And he's like, what do you guys got? And all of a sudden, I'm over here, like, again, I'm a kid. I got this ball. Like, I'm getting yelled at twice by you, bro. And what's funny too is that I have that baseball, and every time I look at that baseball, that's the memories, and that's what comes with those memories of my grandmother and my grandfather taking me to those games, and every time I look at that memory of what happened, you know what I mean? You just that thought.
Yeah.
of going to those games and chasing players down and getting autographs. So yeah, and then I created this, which just got out of hand.
Now, Mikey, you bring like a very interesting point, and I have to ask you a question. Because obviously I'm a digital collector. For you, you're like not only a physical collector, but like you have nostalgia tied to the things that you have
Mhm.
acquired due to the memories of actually getting them signed in person, right? So for
Yes.
you, what are your thoughts on like obviously now, with trading cards and different things of that nature, and now there's the digital version, right? Or what like courtyard.io or a fanable where you can open it digitally, right? And you'll get the digital card to hold. But then like the actual physical card is actually held by Brinks, but you actually own it and you can actually cash it in if you want to. But they'll hold it for you and you can sell it back and forth. But for you as a collector and the way that you collect, is that something of interest to you? Or are you a person
You
that's
know,
like, man, I like to touch it, feel it?
I'm kind of like the old school style because it's like the whole thing of opening a pack of cards is to see what you get and having that like, oh man, I just hit. You know what I mean? Like I
Uh,
never forget like back in the day when I was younger. In 1989 Upper Deck, they had that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
uh,
You know, and the time everybody was trying to hit the rookie card of Ken Griffey Jr. And it was like, especially it wasn't like the way cards are these days, how it's almost like hitting the lottery with certain specific cards. Some of these
uh,
cards can be worth 45, 75, 100,000, depending on how much they get off them. But back in the day when you get a card for like say Ken Griffey Jr., that card was $50 straight off rip, you know.
mm,
So it was just, I remember being at that card shop and actually opening that pack and doing that moment of like, holy crap, just hit for this card. So I think opening and going through the packs is a little bit more thing, but I understand the card business of what they're trying to create, and always again it
mm,
goes down to money and everything else like that. And having it to me is just opening the pack and it's just more feels more better to me, I guess, more real. I feel
no,
like if I open a digital pack, I feel like at the same time I'm not. I feel like you just dictated what I was getting,
mm,
if that makes sense.
mm. I
It's
get it
like
because
being at
even though it's random in your
it's
mind,
like going to the slot machines and you're hitting the slot machines. You know what I mean? And
uh,
another mouth dictating those machines. That's how my mind thinks, I guess.
okay,
To,
okay,
to you're actually buying and you're actually getting something. I don't know, but I see why they're trying to do that with these cards because these cards, if that wrong person's opened up that card and that card gets damaged, then that value of their card is not what they expect it to be for off the
mhm,
digital wise, and them wanting to keep it and everything else. So it's at this point, why try to even do it?
okay.
Because now you're just
Now,
trying to run the game. What's what happens to my card?
uh, so for you, Mike, and so I'm gonna think about two different options here. So for you, for the pack, and I know that there's the nostalgia piece, right? But it's the value piece too. So like, say for example, and I'm gonna use VD for example, right? They had the Predator drop. If you have not checked that out, I do recommend Mike,
Okay.
because I did go for it today, and I got the animated one that goes invisible. And you were able to get some others, but like some people, so like it's a blind box, right? So like there's I believe there was four different versions you can get, right? But one of the
Okay.
versions was only like 50 of them, but like right now they're selling for like over $1,000. So you paid 50. If you landed one, you can sell it for like $1,000, right? So the other ones, are kind of like, some are like 50 or under or $10, just kind of depends. It's like the slot machine thing that you're talking
Hmm.
about, right? But I like, like for from a collector standpoint, like I bought them because I thought they were cool, right? Like, don't get me
Okay.
wrong, I wanted that one that only had 50 because it sells for quite a bit, right?
Right. Right.
But for me, it's very similar to you. I buy what I love, right? So I never, even if I don't get that rare one, it's like, well, I just wanted one anyway, right? And to be
Hmm.
able to own that piece. So I totally get that piece, but there's always like that financial piece that you kind of talked about, right? Where it's like, you don't want to buy something and it goes to zero, or there is one of the things that you talked about that I talked about in one of my last streams was is that tie in to for you, you're talking about like the actual the athlete, right? And meeting them
Hmm.
and talking with them. And I was talking about comic book
Right.
artists. And I was
Okay.
talking to a comic book artist and I was telling him, I said, you know what, I really think that added value for a collector, especially in the digital space, is if you land like this, 1 of 10 card or something, maybe it is a conversation with you, like a 30-minute conversation, or you send them something physical. Because I feel like as a collector, you always want to know a little bit more than what's just being displayed when they're selling it, right? So to know a little bit
Hmm.
about the history of it, how it was created, things of that nature, similar to what you do with the athletes, right? Just chatting with them, and like you said, Kyrie Irving's down to earth person, and for me, I just think it makes those things more valuable. Because when you get to know that person and know that background, for you, there's added value. Do
Hmm.
you agree with that? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Because anybody can really go out and go buy it. You know what I mean? You go out and go buy it, you can spend the money and just have it, and you got it. But when you got more of a memory and more of a
Mhm.
almost not to say connect, but that, like I said, that little 30-second conversation that you might have, that can go a long way just as a good memory. You know what I mean? Just like I said, just the connection I have with Albert Bell. And there's a lot of them that I have that I got connections with. I never forget. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't even think his name. I think it's Braxton Miller. But anyway, we were at an autograph signing, and I took my buddy with me. We was at a bar, but when I picked my buddy up to come with me, he had a little bit too much to drink, so he already had a little bit of buzz. So he starts looking at this football player, and he's like, "I can take him." Like he thinks not like fighting him. He thinks he can play him like he can take him like to play him. I'm like, dude, there's no way, bro. He's not much bigger than me. We're going back and forth with him, and again, he's drunk, and so he starts stinging himself up like he's built, and I'm like, dude, you're not as strong as he is. Trust me. So then we get in the picture, and he puts his arm around him and he goes like this to him. You know how like if you're with your uncle and they try to thing you and shit? So he puts his
Uh,
arm around him. He's over here doing like this to him. And you see the football player looks up, Miller looks at him and was like, "What are you doing?" But it was just one of those funny moments, and that's the kind of things that come with this. It's fun.
yeah,
It's just so much better to me rather with the interaction with than to just go ahead into the store and go buy it. I could
I
have had a
hear you.
LeBron James. I could have had a LeBron James signed jersey or whatever the case may be. It just does. It's not as it might not be as more as authentic as more people would say it because it's not with the label. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where it's that's can spit a word that's it. But it can't. But anyway, when you don't have that, then the value of it is not as much.
Mhm.
Okay. But to me knowing that I've got it and how I got it, that means a little bit more to me to come to your question. So, yeah, I would say that is more to me than just buying it from the store because your memory is going to a sports store buying it.
Mhm. Yeah.
My story is I had an interaction with this player, and that's the most with me it's fun because there's even times of how you even got an autograph. You know what I mean? There's like Like say for instance, I had Trent Richardson. Okay, but I used to talk to he works for the Cleveland Indians, so he's Andre Knox. Okay,
Okay.
he's a
Mhm.
commentator. He used to be a commentator for the Browns on the sidelines and everything. And he always used to talk to me. Cool dude. And he's like, man, Mike, who are you trying to get? And I said, man, I've been trying to get Trent, man. He's like, why, he won't stop for you? And I'm like, nah, he hasn't been stopping. He's like, I'll see what I can do. So I was like, all right, cool. So he comes up to me, he talks to me after, after whatever later on, and he's like, hey, he said, these guys over here, there's a reason why he's not stopping. He was like, but he did say he'll stop for you. He'll stop for you. And I was like, okay, like, cool. So this is what Andre tells me. So he comes out, and now mind you, I watch Trent every single day come out of this training camp and ride right past us in this league without looking at us. No acknowledge this right past us. But this day I had Tatiana with me, and he um he pulled out and he seen me and Tati. He glanced and he seen me and Tatiana. So he went back and he turned around, came back into the parking lot. And it was funny too because all those people that were there right away rushed to his car. And he rolled his window up and rolled his window down and told them all, back up, back up, back up. So everybody's like, dang. And he points at me and my kid and he said, come on, come here. So we walk up to his car and he starts the conversation with Ati, asks Tatiana her name, and he's literally says, "That's my daughter's name too."
Shut
Of having that
up.
conversation, yes. So of having that conversation with them, and all of a sudden, oh, what's your name, honey? La la la, and he's like, she's like, oh, it's Tatiana. He's like, really, and that whole bond all of a sudden they had with them, and the way he looked at her and she looked at him, and she was like, nah, that's my name, because she's a little kid too, just messing with him. And he's like, no, that's my daughter's name. And he's like, no, you're cute. And he's like, offers, hey, do you want to take a picture? And like sure. And he takes a picture with Tatiana first, and then also we take one together. And then he goes, what do you guys got? And I said, I have like three things. He was like, no problem, I'll sign them all for you. So he signed my three things for me, and then he let the rest of the crew come to the car, but he kind of like took control of it, because a lot of guys they just it's no respect. You don't understand too. A lot of these guys don't want to come pulling up when you got $100,000 car and they're just all over it. Like if you got a Ford, you know what I mean? A little
Yeah.
Ford Focus or something. So it's, sometimes you gotta realize what you're doing. So, but yeah, he was nice enough that day to stop for us and sign for us. But it was just funny though why he wouldn't do it or anything else. And that particular day of how he did it, and then that bond all of a sudden you have with my kids. So again, those are the things that what make it fun, you know.
Gotcha. 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 Okay. Okay. And that's fair enough. And that's fair enough.
And if it's
You
crazy,
know, because
I got a thousand of those stories because there's so many players I done met and have gotten autographs. So I've done caught them on walking down the streets, and also getting into. I also got yelled at by Brian Urlacher, uh, Cutler, and I can't think of the receiver's name that used to be for that team for Chicago Bears, but I tried to get their autographs, and we were with a bunch of crew, and we were walking down the streets of Cleveland autographing and stuff, and these guys were like, Brian Orklack was like, um, oh, we were gonna sign for you, but now we're gonna sign for you because you guys are a bunch of asses. But you had this little 12-year-old, 14-year-old kid that was following him, just straight out being disrespectful to him. So I get why they weren't gonna sign. And all of a sudden you got
yeah,
the one kid talking crap. Oh, Joe Hayden's gonna lock your ass down. He's talking to him, and it became all bad. So I was like, that was a bad altercation with those guys because we had to walk over a mile. I was going the same direction.
Oh, okay.
So, so we're walking with them, and it was just like, oh my god, like one of these players is gonna whoop one of these kids' asses because did this bothering the hell out of him. It was ridiculous, but yeah.
Well, Mike, I only have one other question for you because I know that we are at time in regards to, and I want
Okay.
to be, courteous of your time. So, if
No,
you
you're
were,
good.
so for future collectors, right, that are maybe getting into collecting or things of that nature, what would be some tips that you would give them, being a long time fan and collector of memorabilia?
It depends with how far you're willing to go and what you're willing to do. Meaning, because there's things that I've done, waiting after games, waiting for them to come out to be able to get autographs. Going early to basketball games to try to get autographs, to going to convention centers and autograph signings or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely some work and look into what you want to be able to find and go do, or if you have the time on your hands, even to go to a training camp. You go to a training camp and you take so much stuff with you, and you just try to, we say it, we try to rack them as much as we can. I'm trying to get who we can get, and that's part of the reason how I end up with a nice collection. I would take, 5 or 6 helmets with me, and just have an idea of who I want and try to get on those helmets. Like I literally keep, like, look, you can see right there those 4 helmets on the end of brown ones. Those helmets, they
Uh
haven't even been touched. Well, those last 5 ones from the white one all the way up, those helmets haven't
huh.
even been touched yet. But the fact is that when I know that somebody might be signing, or when I get that, as we call it, that little itch, as I call it, like where I want to go out and go autograph finding, I might take off for a good 2 days and come home and then take off, or I might be at a training camp just trying to get autographs, you know. So I'll keep that kind of stuff on deck. That's between baseballs, helmets, basketballs. But again, there's reasons why I see things like this and I buy them. So when I'll have them and I'll get them autographed, So so in that case, I'm always ready to be able to go get something autographed. So when especially I use Facebook a lot, and I go onto all their websites, and sometimes they'll post on there, hey, we're having an autograph signing, and then you got to pay for those. But I'm paying for it, but I'm also sitting there to be able to meet and greet. So and that's
Okay.
fine with me still. I'm not like I just went to the store and bought it again. So I'm not doing that. So as long as I get that few extra seconds, I'm to me that matters the most. You know.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Mike, I want to say thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us and sharing
Yeah,
your
yeah.
experience and
Anytime.
giving us a different perspective, because I feel like, we've had a lot of great people on, on stream and, kind of talking through collecting and comics and that, but you are the actual first sports collector that we had on, physical sports
Okay,
collector,
okay.
and talking through what's important to you and that nostalgia tied to it of, getting the actual signature, and not just, like you said, not just, hey, I see it on eBay, because that's the kind of guy I am, because I'm very impatient. You know me, Mikey, I'm very impatient.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna buy it on eBay, and I'll pay the premium for it. But in the same sense, for you, it's the memory, right? I mean, and there's
Yes.
things that I have that I would want that memory as well, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
don't have that tie-in like you do with, having, your grandma and your grandfather introduce you to this, and then it just become a
Mm-hmm.
part of who you are, right? Because the
Correct.
reality is you got, jerseys with your last name on the back of them, your
Yeah,
your
I
kids are
do.
into, so yeah,
Yeah.
so you are like what I consider to be like a true fan and collector of sports memorabilia, especially for
Yeah, yeah.
Cleveland. So
Mm-hmm.
but it was great to actually, hear it from you, and what's important to you, because I think that the challenge, obviously a lot of things are, or everything's moving into the digital era, right? Era. and it's going to be challenging. I mean, you can go to conventions and get things signed
Uh-huh.
and things of that nature, but like you said, there's definitely going to be a difference of a memory of you lugging 6 helmets to go be signed
Hmm.
compared to I have 6 collectibles that you can digitally sign for me. It gives you that same type of feel where you can have them sign it, but it's not the same as the amount of effort that you have to put in to get things
Correct.
signed.
You do
So
have to put a lot of effort and you're gonna put some time. And there's times that no lie, I waited in the line for Kyrie. I waited in line from like 10 o'clock in the morning to like 6 o'clock
oh
to
dude.
be able to get
Oh
his
yeah.
autograph.
Oh
So it
yeah, you
wasn't
bet.
like
Yeah,
I
Mike,
just so it wasn't like I just was able to get it. I literally had to put in that time in order to be able to get that autograph. And that's time that I'll never get. But you know what? The memory is what that I have, and it's I'll take that all day. I'll take it all day, and especially loving what you do as being a sports collector. I'm down. It's
and
something I'm gonna keep
you
doing.
and that's one of the things I always tell people is, when you collect what you love and when you do it what you love, you never regret it. You never regret spending the money.
Nope.
You never regret, what happened because you are truly collecting what you love and connecting with that piece, right? So
Mhm.
you are like a living example of that. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on again, Mike. And at some point, when you come down to visit me here in Atlanta, we're going to do a
Sure.
live stream where we're in the same room. And obviously, I do not have as much physical stuff, but I'm getting into the physical, Mike. I am
Nice.
getting into the physical, more of the phygital, where now companies are doing the digital and then the physical counterpart that they send to you. So,
Yes.
so that I'm getting into in that. But I look forward to chatting with you again, and I hope that you have a great day. And for the collectors out there, once again, thanks for tuning in, getting a chance to know Mike, our Cleveland collector of sports memorabilia. Really great guy. So we thank you for coming on. Remember, collect what you love and connect with the people around you. So with
Right.
that, we
Thanks for
leave
having me.
you. Absolutely. And you guys have a great day and see you